Here is a 2024 Chevy Equinox RS in Riptide Blue Metallic over black leather interior. We got a refresh in 2022 for the front, the bumpers, the headlights, and the rear. 2023, we increased horsepower. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and unlike the Chevy Trax, it's not going to get a lot of updates here. It's going to be a carryover with LED headlights and daytime runnings that work into the gloss black bar. This was all refreshed for 2022. The RS was also a new addition for 2022, giving that street sport performance for the exterior. The front will have a standard chrome grille with chrome surroundings. Because it's the RS, we get the gloss black elements to make it look more sporty. Blacked out bow ties for the front and the rear because of the RS. The lower is going to get the gloss black by the turn signals, front and rear parking sensors, and we have a 360-degree reverse camera. The nice thing about the Chevy Equinox is your clearance is at 7.9 inches. So for an everyday vehicle, comparing to Honda, Toyota, it has better clearance unless you're going into a TRD. Only one engine option. So even if you go into the LS, the only major difference will be the exterior styling, still packing a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged. 175 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission, which the key thing here is when you go Honda, it's going to be a CVT transmission. Because this is the RS, we're getting upgraded 19-inch wheels. This is a gloss gray multi-spoke alloy wheels. Standard is a 17-inch wheel, achieving 26 mpgs for the city and 31 mpgs for the highway. And it doesn't matter the trim yet again for suspension. McPherson strut front suspension and a 4-link rear suspension. I like that we get the matte black on the lower trim and they don't put anything on the fenders, because all of the new vehicles are putting this matte black. This looks a lot more sporty against this Riptide Blue Metallic. Gloss black elements are going to surround the window housing and the roof rails because this is the RS. Towing 1,500 pounds. It's spot on with the rivals. When you go into Toyota, it will increase a little bit more so, but depending on the trim, you will also spend more money. And because we're at the RS, LED tail lights. When you start going down in the trims, that's not going to be the case in the lower. Even though it doesn't have any more performance, it will look a little bit more athletic if it had at least one exhaust outlet because of the trim that we're in. Power liftgate going into 29.9 cubic feet of storage, 12-volt charger. You have plenty of room for the width. Underneath, you'll have more storage, and underneath that, you get a spare tire. Split fold the rear bench in the back, which makes it a lot more easier. Increasing cargo to 63.9 cubic feet. It sits low even though the clearance is high. Let's go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Ten-way power seat adjustment. The RS leather package includes leather interior, heated front seat, 6-way manual adjustment for the passenger. And headroom with the leg room. It's a deep footwell, and it's not a driver-focused setup. Starting with the infotainment screen, that's an 8-inch. We have the infotainment package. We also have the Bose sound system, which is 7 speakers found throughout. Standard for the touchscreen will be a 7-inch. This has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wirelessly, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse. 360-degree reverse camera with full trajectory, different camera layouts, so you can see pretty much all over the vehicle. You can also zoom in, and you can take the lines on and off. Going into dual climate control settings, a storage area that you can fit a larger cell phone, USB ports 12 volts, the key fob for the new Equinox, leather around the shifter with the RS badging. It's going to be more sporty with the contrast stitching. Opens up, you get a little pin holder. It's a deep storage pocket, 2 more USB ports. Going back to the dash, on the passenger side, you get the perforated And then you'll get the soft materials, contrast stitching, and the gloss black elements that's going to be found throughout. A large pano moonroof that goes all the way past the back seats. Leather wrapped 3-spoke steering wheel, multi-function with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, 4.2 TFT display for the driver. Standard is a 3.5. And the dashboard and the door panel integrate in together. It's going to be more of your everyday materials up here, and software needs to be one touch up and down, only for the driver window, and a storage pocket with a beverage holder carved out. And here is where you can adjust for your tailgate. For the back seats, headroom and leg room. Storage behind both of the front seats, air vents in the center, USB, home plug. The center gets an armrest with cup holders. The door panel, we're going to have the same materials that's found in the front. I can't open it because it has child lock. It's going to be soft where it needs to be. A smaller storage pocket that you can fit a beverage right in between. Sliding into the center, the floor is completely flat, so feet space will still be shared because of the center cluster that comes back. The rails are pushed back enough, but in shoulder space will also be shared because it's not a larger SUV. But headroom is still doable sitting in the center with the pano. 175 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque. The nice thing here is it is a 6-speed automatic transmission, no CVT, so you don't have to worry about that. Turbocharged 1.5-liter 4-cylinder, which is also nice because it's not a 3-cylinder engine. You have great ground clearance too because you are at 7.9 inches, which is a lot more than the competition unless you go up the tier to a TRD for Toyota, in which you're going to be spending more money. 8-inch infotainment screen, I feel that should be standard, and the TFT display at 4.25. That's good size where it's at. It does need a little bit of refreshments in the interior, but the exterior styling it pops with this color. And when you get the leather for the RS interior package, it feels a little bit more comfortable. I'm a leather fan when it comes to getting a sporty performance look. You're not going to get that in the drive so much, but it's still going to be quick enough because it's pretty much spot on with all of the rivals, in which you're going to see that throughout this review. You're going to be hitting about 2.5 to 3 RPMs for the vehicle to be motivated. The pedal doesn't feel heavy, which is a good thing because when you're getting these smaller engines, sometimes that can be the case. It doesn't feel wide and it doesn't feel long. It feels very sporty and yet short in the length, which is two good aspects for a daily use vehicle. The steering is a little bit more heavy, so you'll have to turn it just a touch more so. Then I would say Honda, Toyota will be about the same. It's going to take me to the pros and cons. Starting with the pros. When you get the RS, it has the sport style to it. When you get underneath this trim, it's going to look more like basic because of the chrome elements. So I recommend the RS because it just makes it stand apart. I also like that all the engine options are the same and the same suspension, so you don't have to really jump through hoops if you're wanting the same performance and you just want to go to the LS. You have a lot of head and leg space for the second row, and cargo capacity is still good even though this is not that long of a vehicle, and also the interior width. The center cluster has enough cubbies. Kind of wish I had a pass through. Going to some cons about the vehicle, you have to add packages to the RS. You're not going to get standard leather. You have to add packages for the infotainment. You're not going to get the Bose stereo system. When you get to the RS, because there's no performance upgrades or suspension upgrades, you're getting a bigger wheel and the gloss black elements. I would like to see some of those implemented in the interior instead of me paying for packages. Another con is you don't have power seat adjustment for the passenger. Red light, we're going to go back to the pros and cons after performance. The turbo takes about 2 to 2.2 RPM for it to really kick in, and then it livens up. And then what happens is you have to kind of let off the gas pedal a little bit for it to engage in the gears, because it doesn't want to change. It just wants to stay at a higher RPM because it realizes that you're going faster. It's not necessarily a con in my book, because you're going to get quicker speeds because you're at a higher RPM and the turbo's already spooled up. You get adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and when you're considering going to the rivals, you will be paying a few $1,000s more for some of the safety features that come standard with the Equinox. Braking doesn't feel heavy like I was saying. Turn radius at a stop point is going to be a little bit longer than I wanted, right around 3 lanes. So the turn radius is not going to be 100% plus on this one. I would say the Honda and Toyota will get a little bit tighter in the ratio. The sit to it, though, feels a little bit higher up off the ground. You feel like you're sitting on top of the hood. The same thing with the door panels. They're a bit lowered. So for visibility all around you, you're not going to have an issue there. Comfort for the ride, the suspension holds itself well. The seat cushions are good. The armrest could be a little bit more soft, but it's going to be the same thing in Honda and Toyota, not a huge difference there. If you compare it to Volkswagen, also the same thing. And comparing it to Kia, the interior of this is going to feel a little bit more dynamic, where that one's going to feel a little bit more opened up for the front and the back. Against Mazda, the turbocharged there is going to be faster off the line, but you're going to be the same when you get to a higher speed. And that's what I mean by the everyday drive. You will be hitting a higher RPM, but it's not necessarily something to be concerned about because, again, it's a smaller engine. To get you to point A to point B, awesome vehicle. You got good styling on the exterior. This color does pop too, because you're not going to see a lot of these Riptide blues on the road, which makes this a little bit more unique, because when you're pulling up the stoplights, you're constantly seeing all of the competition. This one's going to stand out of the bunch. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Regal Chevrolet for giving us this 2024 Chevy Equinox RS for our car review.